OMG, you guys are so loyal. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Anna Bees and Fred Field, thank you so much for being here. If you're still here, Fred is still here. I was feeling a little bit bad for having to move the time back a couple of times, but I know you guys understand, and I'd rather move it back than just come on late without letting you guys know. And I had some really good excuses today. But first, let me make sure that you can hear me well. I'll try to speak right into the microphone because I've noticed the last few days that when I'm moving around, like if I'm talking over here as opposed to right here, it makes a big difference. So let's get rolling. I've got my water. I am ready to rock and roll. How are you guys today? Okay, good. Thank you, Hannah. How are you, my dear? And how is your daughter? I hope she's well. And how are you, Fred? Hit your thumbs up button if you'd be so kind. How's the lighting? Is it a little too orange and red today, or is it not a problem? I don't want to obsess on these things. It's just that they slowly change over time. I'm looking for a good place to set this thumb down where it won't get knocked down and where I'll be able to find it at a later date. Did you take your Valium? Does it seem like I took my Valium? Because I did do some gardening, so that might be like an equivalent. Or you're funny. Um, yeah, Valium. I don't know why you're asking me that, Fred. Are you trying to taunt me? No, I am probably a little bit more relaxed because I don't know, the gardening. I had to garden for a couple hours. I had to. There's just a lot that needs to be done out there, and I was just going insane with all this crap on the YouTube, this political crap. I want to get right into it, but I also just really want to kind of de-stress because it seems to me that things are at a fever pitch. Like when you just don't think it can get any crazier, it does. It just continues to get crazier and crazier and crazier. So where do I start? Help me. Water, more water. Did you watch that Netflix show Adolescence? I looked it up, Anna Bees, and it looked really interesting, but I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. Tell me what you like about it. Because, yeah, it looked like it was British, and it was like this young boy who may or may not have taken the life of a friend that was a girl. Like it looked like it was a schoolyard fight that got out of control or something. It looks really well done. It does. And I think it won some awards, right? So it's like a mini series, or is it just one season so far? Are they planning to do another season? Because it was just like 4 1-hour parts. So I just watched like the preview thing. Okay. So please make sure you're still subscribed if you are subscribed. And if you're not, consider it if you don't mind. Share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring if you want to be notified when I come on live or when I drop a video. So everything I say is pretty much just my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation and open up a discussion and learn something and to be educational, to get educated. And all of these videos that I've made to date have been made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. So there, I did it all. Do you love the necklaces? I think I have 5 on today. Yes, I do. I have 5. Inspired by Ms. Kylie Rodney and the layered look. So I made the 2 big ones, this one and that one, and then there's like this topaz blue aquamarine that's just, you know, kind of elegant and simple. let's see. Let me tangle them up. And then I've got, these are like some of my favorite colors. It's like a raspberry colored stones and then kind of an orange colored stones. So I thought I'd go with the layered look. And the earrings I did not make, but see if my hair goes flat today. How do I look, darling? You guys look marvelous. Oh no, Fred says I will have to leave for a few minutes soon. A pest control guy is coming to try to get rid of the moles voles in my yard. Well, that's good that you're doing that, but the moles are so cute as long as they're not like the spy moles, right? It's actually not my fave, but my friend recommended it and she's mad I didn't like it as much as she did. Oh, that's cute. I'm gonna watch it for sure. She wanted me to ask you. I think my friends are jelly of you. Oh, you're so cute, Anna. You're so flattering. They look cute. Well, I feel cute with all these necklaces and the hair is being cooperative at the moment. It won't last though. It definitely won't last. Anyway, let's just get right into this effing material. I used an image of some robots and what I call Swatstickars for my thumbnail. I don't know if I may or may not change that image because I do want to talk about the whole thing and the Tesla company and his involvement in trying to ruin our freaking country. He's doing a mighty fine job of it, is he not? Oh, he's so hateful. And then little T, who is pretty much an imbecile by now. I can't imagine people that are still standing by him in his corner. He is so out of it, you guys. Did you hear this part? I'm sure they're trying to suppress it. He was in an interview revealing that he believed that this whole thing with the the scandal with the war plans and the signal chat and the editor-in-chief from the Atlantic, he believed that they were on the phone and that there was a bad signal, and therefore Jeff Goldblum, is it Goldblum? I think it is. That might be the actor. Jeff Gold something from the Atlantic, the editor-in-chief, the guy who broke the story. Oh, that just drives me crazy when I cross my wires. Help me, you guys. Is it Jeff Goldblum is the actor. So this guy is like Jeff Goldman. Is that right? Too many varieties of that name that are very similar. Anyway, so the reporter, I'm totally losing my train of thought now. Reel it in. I'm just as bad as little T. So he did not understand at all what was going on. He thought that Jeff Goldblum, I'll just say it wrong. I'm going to have to look at my stupid phone. Give me a break. What is it? The Google will tell me. Goldberg. Oh, I was saying Goldblum. That's the actor dude. Okay, so Jeff Mark Goldberg is an American journalist who serves as editor-in-chief of the Atlantic. Okay, Goldberg. Anyway, that guy was on the phone with all of the people chatting about the plans for attack. It definitely wasn't like war plans. It was just simply plans for attack. And he had a bad signal, so he hung up. He hung up early. That's what little T thinks. He's so freaking out of it. He does not understand. Not only is Signal an encrypted text message system, it also has been known to be hacked by the country formerly known as the USSR. I think iceberg. Thank you, Anna Bees. You're so smart. I know. I always try to do that. Yes, he is. Russia probably told him to get close to little T and destroy US from inside. Anna Bees, I think you're 100% right. I mean, he's super tight with China and USSR. The big E is, and it's all about money. One sec. Oh, I'm just gonna let that go to voicemail. I don't know why they're calling me. Okay. I have enough distractions. I'm not going to interrupt my live with a silly call. They can leave a message. Okay. Anyway, should we buy stock in Instatan or other sunless tans? Now, I don't know if you're making a joke about me, Fred, because I might look tan with all this orange-ish lighting, or if you're making a joke about little T, or I mean, come to think of it, the big E could use some of that, couldn't he? But it seems like a lot of the people that are in what I'm just going to start calling the cults, the T cults, that they're using really harsh, severe makeup and a lot of orange. It's so bizarre. Like, have you noticed that the VP, he uses eyeliner, I'm pretty sure. And it seems like he's using more eyeliner than he used to use. Okay, little T. Thanks, Fred. And, and I don't like to make fun of anybody. I really don't, even when they're like disgusting people that are trashing the entire country and beyond. I don't like to pick on people for things like stuttering or having a bad memory or calling people from Arizona Azure Asians. I really just like to laugh about it and move on, but there's so much of it. There's so much of it. And so little T himself selected every single moron in that freaking signal chat. And I'm not the only one. I have heard a couple other people say it now. I said it before I heard anybody say it. It's my absolute honest belief from what I know with my own professional experience that every single MF in that group chat should get the axe, including their superior who placed them all, who hand selected them into those positions. It is treason. They completely endangered the entire galaxy, if you really want to get serious about it, right? But we'll just stay focused on Earth. They completely endangered the entire freaking planet. They're hateful and they need to go. I want to play a woman who is married to a man who was deployed over there. And I just wanted to play for you a little bit of a rant that I heard her unleashing. And yeah, just the inability of these people to just take some accountability. I said this yesterday in my live that in the event that Heg Pete and his superior, the douchebag director of the CIA, first name Matt, last name douchebag, that guy, it'll come to me. Too many names. Anyway, if they don't just step up and say, my bad, here's my resignation, they're going to take a lot of people down with them. And I hope they do. So, yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, Ratcliffe. These people are absolute rats. So this guy, what's his name? the CIA director. He looks like such a reasonable man, but he's like the biggest fool there is. These people are all just lying and lying and lying. And I'm glad, because the longer it takes, the more likely it is that more of them will go down. But this is the way I see it, is that they're all trying to protect themselves and each other, especially the big cheese. Little T is going to try to stand firm behind all of these people because he's basically the king or the queen in the chess game. I'd say that Big E is the queen because he's really the more powerful one. Little T is the king. And these other people, it doesn't matter like how fabulous their titles are, you know, director of the FBI, the Secretary of Defense, the CIA director, director of intelligence, or secretary of intelligence, whatever their titles are, it doesn't matter. They're simply pawns. And he only selected them because they're stupid. They don't know their jobs. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know how to do it. Like, do you really think that there was even like a job description? Like, did they ever look at it and go, am I really qualified for this? Do I have the education? Do I have the degree? Do I have the temperament? Well, I swear, if you give me this position, I will be so drunk on life that I will quit being drunk all the time. Like, the guy basically literally said that. The Secretary of Defense, Hedge Pete, I'm just going to call him Hedge Pete. How on earth can you hire somebody like that? I mean, at least Matt Gaetz had the decency to put his tail between his legs and walk away. I actually thought that Hedge Pete might have had the decency to do that too. Like, just quit embarrassing yourself. But no, instead, he's endangered all of these people. And the longer it takes for his head to roll, the higher the likelihood of more people losing their lives unnecessarily. Little T's an idiot. I saw where he was saying something about losing the signal. It was a bad signal, Anna. It's so embarrassing and frustrating. Well, it's hello, Helby. It's Helby. It's almost as good as when he got into the Tesla after calling it a Tesla and said, "Oh, I can't drive this. It's all computer." And then at the end, I love Tesla. Like, he's a freaking old fart. And again, I'm an old fart. You guys, I apologize yesterday for anybody that I made feel old when I was talking about Caroline with a K being a 27-year-old disaster married to an old man. I'm like the same age as her old man, but I'm not married to a 27-year-old boy. So I didn't mean that 59 or 60 is old, because I don't think it is. You know, I mean, I think we're getting old when we're like 95, right? I mean, that's pretty old, like Gene Hackman. But I told you guys I have a dear friend who's 95 or 96, and she's been aging backwards for the last couple of decades since she retired and moved out to the Bay Area. She's amazing, amazing. But she is having some trouble getting around. But, you know, some people just age well. Anyway, I like to say age has nothing to do with it, but it's just disgusting to me. Caroline with a K would be disgusting to me no matter who she's married to. I just think it's hilarious that her old man is more than twice her age and rich. I think it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And so is she. And she's so defensive and attacks everyone all the time and just can't stop lying. I mean, the hubris is out of control with these people. The overly confident, like it's not even confidence. It's like false confidence. It's so out of control. I'm 60, about to be 61. I feel old. Well, I'm 57. I'll be 58 in a couple of months. And sometimes I feel a little bit old, but for the most part, I don't. And I attribute that to my yoga mostly. But before yoga, I would attribute it to my children, to gardening. But sometimes my kids make me feel old, I'll be honest. So, anyway, I was picking up my phone because I wanted to play some of a rant for you. They started to talk about the woman whose husband was there in Yemen on the day of the attack. Okay. This is from a video. I'll put the link to it in the description. The channel is Occupy Democrats, and it's called Wife of a US Soldier in Yemen Blast Little T over leaked chat. So first I gotta get through this stupid ad because I still haven't done my upgrade yet. There we go. And then I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Okay, here's the wife.
And don't go anywhere because we've got a lot to unpack here. How's it going? My name is Hunter Avalon with Occupy Democrats.
No, he showed her for a second, but is he going to keep showing her? She just goes off. It's really good. Okay, there it is. Ready? Here we go.
One wife of a U.S. soldier in Yemen has gone viral after she blasted J.D. Vance and the Trump administration for their careless mistake. Take a look.
As someone whose husband is currently deployed in the Middle East, not far from Yemen, I'm going to warn you now, this is going to be the angriest fucking video I have ever made in my entire life because there are not adequate words in the English language for me to fully fucking communicate to you right now how fucking furious I am. In case you haven't seen yet, news just broke that multiple high-level members of the Trump administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, shared highly classified information about upcoming troop movements and strikes in Yemen via a signal chat that they accidentally added a reporter to, violating the Espionage Act in the process and putting the lives of thousands of service members, including my husband's, at risk. They did all of this after they already knew that Signal had recently been attacked by Russians looking for information about troop movement. Even if you set aside the fact that they accidentally included a reporter, they still put troop lives at risk. Their phones could very easily be hacked. Their phones could very easily be stolen. Their phones could very easily be left behind at whatever bar Pete Hegseth goes to after work every day to get drunk because he's an alcoholic. Every single Republican member of Congress better be on national news within the next few hours calling for the resignation of every single member on that group chat, up to and including J.D. Vance. There is no world in which it is acceptable for any one of those to still have their job by the end of today. In a sane world, this scandal would be presidential administration ending. This scandal would single-handedly bring a presidential administration to their knees. It would end them. It is only because of the pathetic slavish devotion of MAGA types and the fact that they will sell out every value they have ever claimed to have in order to justify every single evil thing that Donald Trump ever does. That is the only reason why this single scandal won't end Trump's presidency. But it absolutely should end J.D. Vance's career. It absolutely should end Marco Rubio's career. It absolutely should end Pete Hegseth's career.
Wow. If I were J.D. Vance...
I'm gonna turn it off. I think she goes on after that, but you get the gist of it. It's gone viral, which is great. I mean, hopefully they've all heard it, but you know, I know that little T has handlers who shield him from stuff like that because it'll owie his feelings, and so they only show him the good news and all the love that his sycophants want to bestow at his feet while licking his boot. So Fred says back 77. I told you about the lucky number 77 that my mom got to be that age for 3 years in a row. She passed away at 79. And I mean, that was pretty good that she made it that far with having total kidney failure for 10 years. I mean, we got really lucky with getting 10 years once she was on complete dialysis. I mean, it's wild that she started the complete dialysis when she was 69. Because again, that's not very old. That's not very old at all. And she seemed healthy. It's just freaking, you got to have your kidneys working, right? We are all young chicks here. Age is only a number. I'm same age as you, Anna, and about to be 78. She has right on point. She is right on point. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, because I have a son that's active duty in the Navy. And of course, if he was stationed over there, I'd be the one going viral with a rant like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I brought up Ashli Babbitt. It's funny. It's a lot like Lorena Bobbitt. We remember her, right? Lorena Bobbitt, who lopped off her abusive husband's private, and then who rescued it? Did he rescue it? Maybe some stranger rescued it and put it on ice, and then they reattached it. And then that he became a star of the porn. I can't even remember Bobbitt's first name. Disgusting. Anyway, let me get back over to the other Bobbitt, Ashli Babbitt. Okay. For whatever reason, little T is putting her on a pedestal and wanting to bring her up as some kind of martyr. So I'm not the only one talking about her. One sec. Hey, can you guys keep it down, please? Cheese. Come here, Cheese. Okay, come on, Mookie. We got no puppy. No puppy to show you today. I thought she had just arrived with the loud people, but no, she's not here. One sec. So the thing with not Lorena Bobbitt, but Ashli Babbitt. So other channels are talking about her too, because little T started talking about her. And I told you the family filed a $30 million lawsuit against our government for wrongful death, and it's scheduled to go to trial July of 2026. And there's a possibility that they could win. She did have a knife in her backpack. I mean, a sharp-edged object, I've heard, or tucked away somewhere. Anyway, after I made the live yesterday, I watched the video of her because I was going to try to find a video to put a link in the description of her attacking the Capitol, right? When she got pew-pewed in the neck and instantly passed away. And I'm sure we've all seen it. And we all remember her like jumping up to, it looked like she was about to try to climb into a broken window. And I watched the video like 10 times at least, different ones from different angles, because everybody had their cell phone. Everybody was videotaping. And I think it was on Bulwark. I think it was Tim Miller who said something about how she had punched a guy in the face right before she tried to climb through the window. And I was like, wait, I just watched it 10 times. I didn't see her punching a guy in the face. What? And yeah, she did. I think it's only like one recording, one video that captures it, because the person is at the angle that they could see it. So, they were in that hallway, and it's hard to see with all the chaos, and you don't get a good picture of, they're in the hallway trying to find Pence. They're after Pence to hang him. And there's probably, like, let's just say roughly around 30 people coming down that hallway, and there's like 3 police officers guarding those doors as the crowd is coming at them. And then they get out of the way because they don't want to get attacked by these people. And there's only one of those 30 people that's not a man. That's Ashli Babbitt, this little woman who's maybe 5'2", 5'3", and she's got like a superhero cape on that is a little T flag, and she starts to run at the window, but this guy is in her way and he's about to go through the window that's already broken. And so she punches him in the face with her left hand because she wants to get ahead of him. So by punching him in the face so that she could go first, so that she could be the superhero, she took the bullet that would have been him if she hadn't punched him in the face. So she did him a huge favor. But what a manic nut to literally punch one of your comrades in the face because you're that competitive that you want to be the first to bust through. And then, learning more about the man that she was married to at the time. So the man who has filed this $30 million lawsuit, and they just have the cutest story of how they got together, banging each other when she was married to some other guy and they worked together. And he was in a long-term relationship with the girlfriend that he lived with. They were together for like 5 years or more. And he had mentioned this ballsy little dame that he worked with, who he said had a really foul mouth. And then she realized that they had been carrying on having an affair. And so she called Ashli Babbitt's now ex-husband and told him that his wife was having an affair with her boyfriend, in efforts of trying to salvage the relationship with the boyfriend, whose last name is Babbitt. So obviously that didn't work out to preserve the relationship, but that's the woman who Ashli then rear-ended her with the car, like rammed her car 3 times, and then was banging on her window and demanding that she get out of the car so that Ashli could kick her in the rear end. And the woman just sat in the car with 911 on the phone. And then basically Ashli didn't get much in the way of punishment through the court system. She got charged with a couple of misdemeanors. And it was because of her military career and because of the people that she knew that she got barely even slapped on the hand, which I don't think is doing anybody a favor when people are crazy and violent like that. And Ashli had been stalking her, harassing her. I mean, running your car into somebody one time is attempted murder, red rum, in my opinion. But 3 times? Anyway, so that I think is the only real act of violence that's known about. I tried to do a little bit of digging. There were several people who discontinued doing business with the pool company that Ashli and her husband, when they got married, they bought a pool company in San Diego that had been very well established. It had been around for maybe 40 years. It was a family company. And then the Babbitts bought it, and Ashli was so outspoken in her support of little T that she would just go on rants about the types of things that somebody like that would go on rants about. And a few people complained and discontinued doing business with their pool company and went to a different pool company. A police officer rescued it. Anna, thank you for remembering that. Yeah, Lorena Bobbitt. Oh man, disgusting. I can't remember her husband's name. He doesn't deserve to be remembered anyway. I can picture his face, and the fact that he moved on to adult entertainment with the reattached member is almost comical. It is comical, but it's also just freaking nuts. Anyway, so Ashli Babbitt, who is almost as bad as the Bobbitts, in my opinion, just the whole thing with the punching the guy in the face, and then they're trying to say that she was a peaceful demonstrator and that she wasn't a threat to any imminent danger. You know, they're trying to get the case reopened. They're trying to get the police officer who gave mass warning to the entire rioting crowd that, you know, he kept telling them, stop or I'll shoot, and they didn't stop, and then he shot. She was a crazy nutcase. I couldn't have said it better myself. And you can see that even without knowing that she punched that guy in the face, even without that. But that just adds a whole new flavor that she's not even nice to the people that she's in the same camp with. Like she's just a very aggressive nut job. I mean, the whole thing with like steroids, it's like she's acting like she's on steroids. Anyway, what a cute picture of how I met your mother, right? You know, we were banging each other at work when we were both in other committed relationships. I used a picture of them, the Babbitts, Babbitt, whatever, Ashli Babbitt. I used a photograph of them in the thumbnail for yesterday, and he's got this horrible tattoo on his chest of a lion. It is really poor quality artwork. And yeah, like he's kind of a He-Man on steroids too. They both are. They are sure we're just a match made in heaven or the other place directly south of that, right? And what else did I want to say about that? I mean, I was just blown away. I'm so glad that I caught Tim Miller from the Bulwark mentioning about her punching that guy in the face, because I had to search really hard to find a video where you could see it. And I took a screenshot of it. You know what? Maybe I'll change the screenshot that I have here to that. Maybe I'll do like a split screen like I did yesterday. But I'll also try to put a link to the video that it's in. The video, I'll warn you, is annoying because it's like MAGA folks. And you know, he's the guy who caught it on camera is in 1,000% support of her and people like her. Well, I mean, he was one of the rioters, so right. But also the person interviewing him for this weird ass news channel was of the same ilk. So it was hard for me to watch the video, but it was the only one where I could find the angle of her punching the guy in the face. Man. Okay. What else? Mike Waltz. That's the guy whose name I couldn't think of earlier. The one who really needs to take the heat with Hedge Pete. And they're both vets. So why don't they care about other vets? They only care about themselves, and they want to get extra special treatment. Like, oh yeah, we deserve to be in these positions of endangering everybody because we once served. Just because they signed up, it doesn't mean that they were good servicemen. It doesn't mean that they did much for our military. It doesn't sound like Hedge Pete did much at all. It sounds like he served for a very short period of time and was basically given a cakewalk type of situation because he was such a handsome young lad. And then he got hired by the Fox News. He did the weekend Fox News stint before getting hand selected by little T for the position that he's in, Secretary of Defense. Completely unqualified, drunk all the time, and that whole thing with that axe throwing. So, all of the times that I saw the footage of him throwing that axe in downtown Manhattan for the weekend news, and he missed, and the axe went over the wall that they had the target on, it always cut before showing the person on the other side who was a drummer, and the axe landed in his lap, like on the drum. Luckily it didn't hurt him. It's a miracle it didn't hurt him, that it actually hit somebody and didn't hurt them. But yeah, then I found that image of him trying to flip a skateboard upside down into his hand and hitting himself in the crotch for the same thing, for the weekend news of Fox. And that's just classic. What a genius, right? So the Waltz guy, Mike Waltz, was talking about, he literally used this phrase, you guys, you've probably heard it, when one of the Fox investigative journalists was grilling him on how this happened. And tell me if you guys remember the name of the blonde who is interviewing him. She's the one who is kind of giving little T a hard time in an interview a week or so ago. Sorry about that noise. But oh my God. Please stop with the noise. It's really distracting. Okay. I'm not going to unalive my teenager, and I'm not going to make any jokes about unaliving my teenager, but he's really been testing me. That's one of the reasons why I was late with my video. And I don't want to have to cut it short just because he's completely out of control. I mean, he's going to be graduating in a couple of months, so I understand. I remember being in that time frame when I was that age. It's hard. It's hard to keep yourself glued together at the end of your senior year. I think they call it senioritis, right? And it's the end of spring break. And yeah, he's just been a freaking nut job and a half. Anyway, where was I? The blonde woman that was interviewing Trump, giving him a hard time. So she was interviewing Mike Walls and asking him how it happened, like how he got Jeff Goldberg's phone number in his phone, since he said that he didn't like Jeff Goldberg. He thought Jeff Goldberg was a jerk and a scum and a lowlife. She's like, well, then how does phone number end up in your phone? He's like, well, you know how when you put somebody's phone number in there, but it's like the wrong person, and then it just gets sucked in. He literally said that. She's like, wait, his phone number got sucked into your phone? OMG, what a riot. What an absolute riot. I'm trying to see if I can come up with her name. I just drive myself nuts when I'm trying to think of all these people's names and I can't pull it out of my brain because there's too many of them. It's just going so fast. They really are flooding the zone, are they not? They really are flooding the zone. I mean, she did great with that interview with Little T last week. And the Fox news journalist who interviewed Trump, I'm just going to do it. Fox News interview Mike Waltz. So he takes full responsibility for it, right? But not Laura Ingraham. There we go. Laura Ingraham. And that's a name that I know, so it drives me even more nuts when I can't come up with it. Brain no worky. My best friends are all little T followers. Oh no, I don't think they ever see the real news, so we just don't talk politics. That's really hard, Annabes. That's really hard. They're really good people, so I don't understand how they can be so fooled. Yeah, I hear ya. I understand. I mean, I understand, and I'm in the same boat as you. At the same time, I don't understand. I just told them last night that I was in true crime groups on YouTube. They are worried that I am in a cult. It made me laugh because they don't realize that they're in a cult. Well, and I think a lot of folks that don't do true crime, because really true crime is so popular now, like everybody's into true crime. A lot of people don't want to let you know that they are, especially if they're a guy. But everybody loves a good red rum mystery, right? And for folks who don't get it, they think that people want to see the red stuff and the guts and the gore, and they think that it's just this like macabre kind of attitude, and that people don't care that when they're reviewing these cases and it's painful for the family, they just don't care. They're so into the disgusting fix that they need that they don't care about anything except that. And it's like very different, I think I told you, this was long enough ago. It was like it was over a year ago. This little girl, she was like 10 years old, and she asked me what I did on my YouTube channel. And I didn't really want to tell her because she was so cute and young and innocent. And I just said, well, the name of my channel is JusticeAtooZ. And she said, oh, I love justice. It was so cute. It was so adorable. So I just left it at that. Like, that's all I told her about my channel, just the name JusticeAtooZ. And I think that was before I changed the name to JusticeAtooZ Love Saves Lives, which I really like putting that in there because I think it throws people like a curveball. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like love saves lives. Oh, okay. I guess it does make sense. It makes people stop and think, which is why I selected it. But also because, like I said, when you tried to find my channel with JusticeAtooZ, you would get a lot of court stuff and a lot of Arizona stuff. And it was hard to find my channel if you didn't put Kylie Rodney in with it. And a lot of people wouldn't know to put Kylie Rodney in the search, even if that's what they were looking for. So I figured with the Love Saves Lives that even if people didn't know the whole name and they just put like love or lives or saves, that then they'll be easier to do a search and find it. So anyway, yeah, the contacts just got sucked in, Mike Walls swears, as he's taking full accountability for what he did, but it wasn't his fault. It was the bad signal that did it, and it was the bad journalist. Like, I can't believe how they're trashing this journalist. The poor guy knew that he didn't want to be in that group. Once he figured out that it was a real group and that he wasn't being catfished. And so he ducked out. And when you duck out of a group, it sends everyone a message that so-and-so ducked out of the group. So even if they hadn't realized that he was in the group prior, they should have realized it by then. But obviously they're just not paying attention. They're just that sloppy with this highly classified, dangerous information. So they don't need to be in the government. They really don't. They not only need to lose their positions, they need to be tried and convicted of treason and espionage, endangerment, whatever else. They need to be charged. And I feel like their leader needs to be charged too. So yeah, the thing about the cult, I think it's funny. That is really cute. Yeah, Justice. I love Justice. It reminds me of that thing from Something About Mary where the boy she's dating says he has tickets to something and she says, "Tickets? I love tickets." No, they all need to resign and be charged. Right. Right. But usually if they voluntarily resign, they'll get a free pass, like all of the command staff there at Wazoo in the Idaho 4 case. So I was getting into some pretty crazy territory yesterday. Do you guys think with the whole eugenics? And that maybe I misused the word zygote. I looked that up afterwards because I said, maybe they harvested the zygotes from the Idaho 4 college kids before the night was over. And zygotes are already fertilized eggs. So they might have harvested the ingredients for the zygotes, is how I wanted to clarify that. If anyone caught that and was like, wait, I thought a zygote was fertilized egg. And yeah, it is. It's a fertilized egg. So were they harvesting the ingredients for zygotes from Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan? Because in eugenics, that would be some really good genes. And I think that concept has been kicked around in the Kylie Rodney case a lot. And even questions about any kind of organization up there in Truckee that the parents might have been involved with that was already doing that kind of thing with reproduction. Selective genetics, basically. It's a question. It's really not an accusation, but I think, to me, it's like the answer is always in the question. I think that these ideas, as nuts as they are, I think it's imperative that we pause and take note of these crazy ideas, because I think that that's where this artificial intelligence robot Terminator world, in the imagination of the addicted Big E, the man baby, that's where he wants to take reality. Like, he lives in a science fiction movie in his head and he thinks he can make it happen. And he's going to be the king of the universe, just like Plankton and SpongeBob. Just like Plankton and SpongeBob. But, when I reviewed the video, I got to thinking, who's to say that they're not already doing the whole eugenics thing? Who's to say that they're not already trafficking folks like that? I'm pretty sure that it's a confirmed fact that the country that was formerly the Soviet Union, that they abducted 20,000 kids from Ukraine. I'm pretty sure that that's a fact. Do you guys know? If you just Google, I always like to see what the Google will say. 20,000 kids abducted from Ukraine. Let's see what it says. And that would be Vladdy, little T's buddy. Okay. So they're working on it, right? Oh my goodness. Wikipedia says, let me read you what Wikipedia says. During the Russia-Ukraine war, Russia has forcibly transferred almost 20,000 Ukrainian children to areas under its control, assigned them Russian citizenship, forcibly adopted them into Russian families, and created obstacles for their reunification with their parents and homeland. The United Nations has stated that these deportations constitute war crimes. And yeah, what other type of abuse are these kids being victimized by? I mean, that's bad enough right there. That's heinous. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for President of Russia, Vladimir PP, who has explicitly supported the forced adoptions, including by enacting legislation to facilitate them, and Children's Rights Commissioner Maria Lvova-Belova for their alleged involvement. According to international law, including the 1948 Genocide Convention, such acts constitute genocide if done with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a nation or ethnic group. Wow. So, they have a photograph here of the caption with the photograph is 1,500 Ukrainian children, and it's dated October of 2020. Wow. So it's considered fact by Wikipedia, and then Snopes will probably say, oh, no, that's not true. Wow. Unbelievable. So it's Vladdy and Maria that are the perpetrators. Ukrainian children have been abducted by the Russian state after their parents had been arrested by Russian occupation authorities or unalived in the invasion, or after becoming separated from their parents in an active war zone. Children have also been abducted from Ukrainian state institutions in occupied areas and through children's summer camps on Russian territory. The abducted children have been subject to Russification. Raising children of war in a foreign nation and culture may constitute an act of genocide if intended to erase their national identity. I'm going to read the last paragraph real quick. Ukrainian authorities have verified the identities of over 19,000 abducted children, compiling and actively updating the data as part of an online platform, Children of War. Russian authorities have claimed that over 700,000 Ukrainian children have been transferred by mid-2023. 700,000? And Ukraine's ombudsman and children's rights believes that the actual number of abducted children may be in the hundreds of thousands. I'm so glad I'm reading this, you guys. A charitable organization, Save Ukraine, facilitates the reparation and family reunification of abducted Ukrainian children. Daria Hirismuk is Ukraine's Presidential Commission for Children's Rights and Child Rehabilitation Officer. Holy crap. Holy crap. Sorry, ad popped up and it wouldn't let me skip it. Oh, I apologize, Anna B. You're the best. Thank you. Let's see what else. I wanted to follow up on a couple more things from yesterday. Where are we at? We're at just 1 hour. And yeah, I didn't want to make today's video too long. Partially because my brain just can't handle it with all the other stuff going on outside of this room. Calgon, take me away, right? Let's see. Okay, I wanted to make light of little T talking about that old-fashioned word Groceries? Is that how you say it? Groceries. It's an old-fashioned word. Nobody ever really uses it, but I used it on my campaign trail. It's how I won this election, talking about old-fashioned groceries. Unbelievable. Like, the man doesn't know that people use that word all the time, because most people in real life go to the freaking grocery store a lot to buy groceries. A lot. Because they don't have golden toilets, solid gold toilets to crap in. I mean, what a weirdo. What a weirdo. I mean, it's almost hilarious. It is hilarious, except that it's just so freaking frightening. Like, he doesn't have a clue. He thinks it's an old-fashioned word that nobody has used for the last 40 years except him in his freaking campaigns, to lie and say he's going to bring the prices of the groceries down instantaneously, like within the first 24 hours max, if he's elected. And if he's elected, it's the only way that we can avoid World War III. So if you don't elect him, it's going to be the end of the world. For him anyway, right? Because, yeah, he would have gone straight to prison probably with the 34 felonies that he's charged with in New York City for the financial fraud that was what that whole case was about, that the depositions were scheduled for the day after Ivana suddenly passed away unattended by herself. Accidentally self-inflicted naturally, right? The day before these week-long depositions that were scheduled for Donnie Sr., Donnie Jr., and Ivanka, all about the financial fraud that would threaten his ability to even be on the ticket to campaign for the presidency. So when Ivana dropped unalive, those depositions got postponed. I mean, they did finally complete them, and he did get charged. But then one of his friends, or all of his friends that were judges, did him a huge solid. Was that the huge solid that he acknowledged just a couple weeks ago? I think it might be. It's so hard to keep up. They really do flood the zone. So now they're like overnight, they're magically arresting cartels and just doing all this wonderful stuff. Have you seen it? They're so good. You know, the haters just want to hate on them for that little snafu, you know, where the phone number got sucked into Waltz's phone. It's just a little snafu. Get over it. He probably craps a lot. Yeah, the word on the street is that he has to wear adult diapers because he has major issues, which would make sense with the kind of diet that he has. He just wants junk food and candy all the time, and you can't do that. I'm amazed that he's able to stand upright. But man, I heard him on some telephone calls last night or the night before. He sounded so looped. Oh man. Like, yeah, it's late at night, but still, you shouldn't be talking on the phone if you're that looped, if you're that out of it. But my guess is that he's so stressed out about all this stuff going on because he knows he's not qualified to be in the position that he's in. He knows it's a charade. He knows that everything's falling down around him. He knows that he belongs in prison, in my humble opinion. Right? Gonna have to run. Helby says, dog is needing his walk. Great show this evening. Oh, you're so sweet, Helby. Have fun with the dog. That's always great to go for a walk with the dog. Is the dog taking you for a walk, or are you taking the dog for a walk? I like to take my dogs to the dog park. So yeah, maybe I'll do that later on today. They love it. Of course, it's like heaven to them. And I enjoy it too. So yeah, I think I probably will. Thanks for reminding me, Helby. The dogs need us, don't they? Coco's right here. Hey, Coco. Hey, baby. Coco, come here, honey. Oh, she's all pooped out. Okay, so Alex Nevillani, you guys, I mentioned him yesterday as somebody that we need to focus on. And I wasn't sure if he was deceased or not. I remembered that he had been poisoned, but then he survived. But he is deceased. So he was poisoned with a nerve agent in 2020. He was a Russian national who was very outspoken. You guys probably know a lot of this. He was tried and charged with some crimes that he probably was framed for. He had previously been tried and not charged for embezzlement, but I'm thinking that even just trying him for the embezzlement, that was just to trash his reputation and to stress him out. But then they went ahead and charged him with some other things. So they put him in Russian prison. He was an activist. He was like a social activist, and he was a politician. So, and he wasn't afraid to speak out even in Russia. And good for him, except for now he's 6 feet under. So they put him in jail, I think a couple of years after the nerve agent didn't take his life, but it almost did. He was in the hospital. He was very close to losing his life. He survived it. And then they eventually put him in jail, and then he passed away a year ago. So February 16th of 2024, they announced that he'd passed away in jail. He was only like 45, I think, when he passed away. Alexei Navalny. So yeah, and it makes me think of that investigative journalist that was unalived at the embassy. You guys know who I'm talking about. Jamal somebody. We got to think about him too, because these are the types of things that are going to happen more and more with these crazy arrests of people that are here legally. It's absolutely nuts. What was that investigative journalist? And he was at an embassy when they got him, which is just so out of control. Khashoggi, the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi. So I did get his first name right. I'm so impressed with myself. And that was October 2nd of 2018. Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi descent. I don't know that word. I don't know how to say it. Dissident, dissident, a Saudi dissident journalist, was killed by agents of the Saudi government at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. Khashoggi was ambushed and strangled by a 15-member squad of Saudi operatives. So, yeah. He was injected with a large amount of a substance after being manhandled by this group of 15 people. And then, this is really gross, trigger warning. Didn't they dismember him in the embassy before carrying him out in pieces? I think it was what was finally discovered when the investigation was complete. So his fiance was waiting in the car for him. Had she not been waiting in the car for him, nobody would have ever known what happened to him, probably. At least publicly, we wouldn't know. So so there were the 5 people that passed away during the insurrection, and I was able to name 4 of the 5 yesterday. And then I found out who the some of them were. Let's see. We got Babbitt. We got 2 men who passed away from heart attacks. One was 50, one was 55. We've got a woman named Roseanne Boylan who was trampled to her end on January 6th at the insurrection. She was only 34 years old, but it seems in her autopsy that she might have overdosed on methamphetamine at the same time that she was trampled to death. Roseanne Boylan. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the 5th one is Brian Sicknick that passed away the next day. But I think he was unconscious the whole time from the time of the insurrection. Like he got crushed or something. It's just nuts. And then there were a few of the officers that took their own lives shortly thereafter. The officers that testified that had been deployed to the front lines in war said that this insurrection was worse because it was your own people, and that it was more carnal, it was more depraved, it was absolutely worse than being in a war zone, according to the professionals. And then, you know, I know for a fact, I was going to say I really believe, but I know for a fact that the MAGA, they just try to say stuff to upset the radical left, right? Radical left, right? The radical left, correct? They really love to try to say things to upset us, and they're good at it. So I think that it's important to recognize that, to try to not take the bait. So one of the most recent things is Little T saying that he wants to give reprimands. No, not reprimands. What's the word? Reprimands. He wants to give reprimands to the J6ers. He wants to give them money for their trouble. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mentioned yesterday how he acts like a mob boss, and it's like he thinks he's Tony Soprano or something. It really feels like that, doesn't it? It really feels like that. And I was thinking when I was gardening today, I was thinking about, because I loved The Sopranos. I watched it religiously until my first child was too old for me to be watching that kind of stuff with her around. So while I was gardening, I was thinking about some of the things from that series that really stuck with me. And one of them was when Tony Soprano beat up one of his business rivals and took the guy's car, and it was a Jeep. And then his 16-year-old daughter needed a car, so he gave her the guy's Jeep. And then she was driving it at school, and the kids at school knew that it belonged to the other kid's dad, and that her dad beat him up and took his Jeep and gave it to her. I don't think she knew that, but she found out. They told her. And that's the kind of guy I think our president is. He's the guy who would beat someone up, steal their Jeep, and then give it to his kid without telling his kid that it's stolen from her classmate's parent. in my opinion, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. So, another thing that I was thinking of, and I really don't like going to these dark places of speculation, but I think that it's necessary because unfortunately there's a possibility that it's the truth. He's a bully. Uh-huh. Yep. That's a good way to put it, Annabes. Absolutely. And he loves the ladies. Remember, little E loved the ladies as much as he did, except little E liked him on the younger side. So, in all of his lady loving, being the most powerful man in the world, being this world leader, and being able to dominate globally, who's he sleeping with? It's not Melania. I'm going to ask the question of if he could have people captive for his satisfaction. Because he's got to be getting it somewhere, in my opinion. I've always thought of him as Biff from Back to the Future. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, he could. Right. I mean, he could have a whole harem of handmaids that we just don't know about. Like, remember when Melania, quote unquote, decorated for Christmas when he was in office and it looked like Handmaid's Tale? Like, I think she had obliterated the rose garden and put up all these like red cone Christmas tree type of decorations that looked exactly like the whole Handmaid Tale television show theme art. And, I think it's reasonable to wonder if she was trying to get a message out, the secret message, like blinking twice. Help me. I missed over half an hour. Son called. Oh, Fred, I'm so sorry that you missed over half an hour. And yeah, my son was making some noise too, literally. So, how many kids do you have, Fred? Is it just one? I remember that atrocity of Christmas decorations. Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird. I think everybody was reminded of The Handmaid's Tale and wondering WTF, right? Um oh, I'm so glad I wrote this down and I'm so glad that I looked because I would have forgotten. And this is something I really am curious about. So, in the Idaho 4 case that there's all kinds of documents being dropped, like all kinds, like it's impossible to keep up. And then I guess the trial is scheduled for the summer. I never thought it would make it to trial. I always thought that somebody would get Jeffrey Epstein, but I don't follow all of it closely because I think it's a sham and I'm just not going to waste my time until I think things are true and accurate. But I do try to keep half an eye on it. And some of the motions that the criminal defendant's attorney, Ann Taylor, has made recently have been things like addressing his like OCD and BK's autism, being on the spectrum. And now there's a new one as of yesterday. I only heard of it as of yesterday. A motion about his dexterity issues, you guys. And for anybody who hasn't seen the miniseries, There's Something About Pam, about Pamela Hupp. It's a real life character who unalived friends and family and a total stranger. And the total stranger that she unalived, she tried to say attacked her. And he had suffered a head injury. I think he had been in a car crash, but he was severely incapacitated. So the story that she tried to float was 1,000% not remotely possible for him to have done the things that she tried to accuse him of. So that's how they finally caught her, was with that stranger that she did that to. So she tricked him into coming into her house and then tried to say that he like broke into her house or attacked her and, you know, threatened her with a knife. It's really, really sad. But she knew that he was incapacitated. I mean, it was obvious, but she didn't know that he was so physically challenged from his head injury, from his severe traumatic brain injury previously, that what she was accusing him of was not even remotely possible. So, oh, and good, Annabise has seen it. I was thinking Titanic. So you thought that the Christmas decorations with Melania, that there was like a Titanic with an S community type of thing going on there? That's interesting. And what trial? Sorry, another ad. OBK. Seen Pam Hupp. Plus, she had approached another person who was a woman. Anna Bees, did you know that the other woman that Pamela Hupp approached is now married to Russ, the husband that she framed for killing her dear friend Betsy? What was their last name? Did you know that? Russ and Betsy, I can't think of their last name. I'm close to remembering it. Russ and Betsy. Pamela Hupp. Faria is the last name of Betsy Faria. So that was one of her victims. That was so sad. And then Pam framed Betsy Faria's husband, Russ Faria, for her homicide. She stabbed her. So absolutely awful. And then to frame the dad, and then the poor kids, like they had a couple of kids who were like orphaned, and it took a long time for them to figure it out. But you know, when somebody is framed like Russ was, it can be really heartbreaking. I hear, I mean, fortunately, I haven't been in a situation like that, but to have friends and family not believe you can be earth shattering. Like sometimes those relationships will never be repaired because of what the accused had gone through, and that the people that they thought would have faith in them did not stand by them. And so that was the situation with Russ and the kids, you know, because the kids thought that he did it because he got convicted. And then that was overturned. I don't think that Pamela Hupp has been charged in the taking of Betsy Faria's life. And I don't think she's been charged with her own mother's passing either. But apparently she did both of those and probably others prior to Betsy, and then her mom, and then that guy, the stranger. So Russ Faria is married to the woman that Pam tried to abduct, to frame the way she framed the guy. That woman is married to Russ Faria, and I'll get her name right here. It's so wild. It is so wild. They did not get married that long ago, but how cute. Um, So it's in Minnesota. He lives in Minnesota and he works at a motorcycle shop, and he works with the Midwest Innocence Project in his spare time. Very, very cool. And I think her name is Carol McAfee, the woman that he married. And I'm trying to look for when they got married. It's so cute that they started dating. So this article that was 2022, they were only engaged, but since then they've been married. So this article from 2024 talks about their marriage. Not the twist I was expecting my life to take. Alleged Pamela Hupp victim reflects on marrying Russ Faria. Carol McAfee, who was once allegedly targeted by Pam Hupp to frame Russ Faria for 2 red rums, married him instead. So he was convicted of his wife Betsy's red rum in 2011. He spent about 3 years in prison before his conviction was overturned at a second trial. So then Pam Hupp unalived a man with intellectual disabilities and tried to frame Russ for that along with the murder of his wife. Yeah, it gets very confusing. I've seen the whole series, I think, twice because it's that good. At first, I thought it sounded ridiculous. And then a friend of mine that was into true crime, like actual true crime, like not the genre of true crime, but like real life stuff, she told me, see it. It's great. And so I listened to her advice, and it is phenomenal. It's very well done. Renee Zellweger plays Pamela Hupp, and she produced it too. And she emulates her so well. She's a great actress. Oh, and Annabes didn't know that they got married. Isn't that the cutest ending in the world? And yeah, I was trying to figure out when they got married. So they were married by 2024. They were engaged by 2022. I'll look it up later. I'll try to set my phone down and not pick it back up. I don't think she was charged with any of the red rums except the one guy, but I think she's behind bars for life because of that. Let's see. Pam Hupp convictions. His name is Louis Gumpenberger. So that was 2016. And in July of 2021, she was charged with Betsy Faria. And the trial is scheduled for September 2026. Holy crap. I wonder if that's still going to happen. This is what Wikipedia says. I said I'd put my phone down, but this is exciting. Pamela Marie Hupp, born October 10th, 1958, is an American red rummer serving a life sentence in Missouri's Chillicothe Correctional Center for the 2016 shooting of Louis Gumpenberger in her home in O'Fallon, Missouri. Hupp's claim that she had shot Gumpenberger, who had mental and physical disabilities, in self-defense after he pursued her into her home wielding a sharp-edged object, was not accepted by law enforcement. She ultimately entered an Alford plea before charges of first-degree red rum and armed criminal action could go to trial. Testimony from Hupp had played a key role in the 2013 conviction of Russ Faria for the red rum of his wife, Betsy Faria, who was red rummed in her home with a sharp-edged object in Troy, Missouri in 2011. After a successful appeal and second trial in 2015, Russ was exonerated in 2015 after his defense attorney was permitted to introduce evidence that was withheld from the original trial jury. So yeah, they were in this small town, and the small town politics was all kinds of corrupt. Some of which implicated Hupp, the beneficiary of a life insurance policy held by Betsy. Law enforcement have theorized that Hupp tricked Gumpenberger into entering her home and then red-rubbed him in a failed attempt to frame Faria. In July 2021, Hupp was charged with the first-degree murder of Betsy Faria, and the trial is scheduled for September 2026. So, wow. Next year. Dang. And then what was the other trial that's scheduled for July of 2026 was the trial for crazy woman Ashli Babbitt's wrongful death. So next year for both of those. Okay. And she'd also been investigated in connection with the death of her mother, Shirley Newman, who passed away in 2013 from injuries sustained from a fall from a balcony of her third-floor apartment in Fenton, Missouri. A tip-off to police accused Hupp of doing that for financial gain. Newman's death was initially ruled an accident, but in November 2017, the chief medical examiner for St. Louis County changed the cause of passing to undetermined, referencing the events in O'Fallon and Troy. An investigation into Newman's death by the St. Louis County Police Department was inconclusive. The unalivings of Betsy and Louis of Betsy Faria and Louis Gumpenberger have been the subject of significant media coverage, including extensive reporting from the local Fox affiliate station in St. Louis and 6 Dateline NBC episodes airing from 2014 to 2022, as well as a Dateline NBC true crime podcast, a scripted television series featuring actress Renee Zellweger as Hupp. The Thing About Pam aired on NBC in 2022. Wow, it was only 3 years ago. I thought it was longer that came out, because yeah, I know I've watched the entire series twice. I think it's like 6 episodes. Oh, let's see. Renee Zellweger was so good. You're correct. O'Fallon, very corrupt. All of the southern Missouri, pretty shady. They were all Confederates. I knew nothing about this, Anna Bees. Wow. Well, Missouri has like all of the cities with the highest crime are all in Missouri. And that's also where, isn't that where Fort Knox is? Isn't the criminal in chief going to be going to Fort Knox to see if there's actually gold there? He got distracted by all of the everything crumbling around him. Oh, no, it's not Missouri. Fort Knox. Brain doesn't work. Google. Kentucky. Fort Knox is in Kentucky. Thank you, Anna Bees. Brain no worky. I could have sworn there's something there in Missouri. What is it? It's all the crime. What's Missouri known for? I don't know. I'll have to figure that out later. Something like that. The Kentucky Chiefs, that's for sure. And you're there, aren't you? Yeah, the Kansas City. I said the Kentucky Chiefs. Okay, it's time for me to log off here. The Kansas City Chiefs. I am so sorry, Kansas City fans. And that was so sad how little T like ruined the Super Bowl for them. He cursed them, didn't he? Yes, outside of the city. Wow. And yeah, then that guy who had his 3 friends freeze and lose their lives at his house after a football game a couple years ago. He finally got convicted, right? And he did curse us, Anna B said. I know. He totally did. And yeah, and then he went to some NASCAR races, and then he went to some wrestling. I said basketball the other day and I was incorrect. I don't know how that came out of my mouth. What I meant was wrestling. But yeah, when he goes to these sports events, it costs the taxpayers so much money, and it inconveniences the city to a massive extent because they have to do a lot of closing of roads and things like that for a president to come through. It's horrible for people getting stuck in gridlock and stuff like that. He was charged, and other people, yeah, there were 3 people charged. Wow. It took a while, didn't it? They tried to act like it was craziness. They tried to act like these guys just had bad luck at his house. He fell asleep. He didn't know what was going on. He woke up. They were all freeze to death. He forgot to call 911. It's sort of like the frozen shock phase with the 2 girls in Idaho 4. So let's talk about that real quick before we wrap up, because I was catching some jewels of all trade, trying to keep up with some of the document drops, and just last night. And she mentioned something about people who theorize that Bethany and Dylan did not stay in the house all night, that they went somewhere. I think that the timing might be from like around 3:30 till 6:30 in the morning, maybe. I'm not sure on the time frame, but that there's a time period where it seems quite plausible that they left the premises. And yeah, I mean, what would make you think that they'd stay put in a residence with all of these slaughtered roommates when they obviously knew something was up? They obviously knew. One of my friends knew one of the guys that passed. Oh, I am so sorry, Anna Bees. That's nuts. A younger friend of mine, around 30 years old. That is so sad. That is so freaking awful. And yeah, weren't they all like friends since high school? The 3 who passed away, and then the guy whose house they were at, he was sort of like a loner in high school, but he went to the same school as them. So it was almost like it was revenge or something, that there might have been intention to it. How could Dylan not see the red stuff? Well, I mean, it was all cleaned up. I mean, the whole case is just such a farce. And if the criminal defendant has dexterity issues that would make it not possible for him to be the ninja that they're accusing him of being with a sharp-edged object, wouldn't that just be fantastic if it just blew up in their faces like that? Because it really seems to me that it's getting pinned on him. It really seems to me that it's getting pinned on him. And I fully suspect that he got that freaking position with the Pullman PD, and that he worked with the Moscow PD as well, because Pullman PD and Moscow PD work closely together. I fully suspect that that's how they got his DNA to put that in the snap on the K-bar sheath. The whole case is so freaking whack. And thank goodness for Jules of all trades covering the mass amounts of information, because she's so good at that. And it's just too much to keep up with. I think it's even too much for her to keep up with, but she's going to do it anyway. And Anna says, I'm in agreement with you. Jules does a great job. Yeah, she does. And she's a single mom, and she has, I think, 3 kids, and she, she's just kicking some butt. She covers a lot of cases too with that kind of veracity and thoroughness. It's pretty outrageous. Pretty good. Pretty good. Trying to think of a really good word to compliment her with. Stellar. I'd say she's pretty stellar. I mean, she just does a really good job. She's all about finding the truth, and I mean, she seems 100% convinced that he's framed, and it's so frustrating how many people just think that the evidence is piled up against him. The evidence that shouldn't even be in the public arena, it should not be in our view. There's a freaking gag order. Did they lift the gag order or something? There's been a gag order on the case for the entire time since it started. And that was suspicious too. Well, we're trying to find this person, but there's a gag order, so nobody can talk about anything, but we're trying to find this person. We have no idea who it is, but don't talk about it because there's a gag order. Anyway, I don't think one person did this. And yes, Dylan and Bethany and friends cleaned up the crime scene. Yeah, the sorority people, because when you join a sorority or fraternity, it's my understanding that you sign a contract that says in the event of an incident, any type of injury or situation, that you agree to call the leadership of the Greek system before you call your own family, before you call 911. And that is crazy. Yes, the sorority. Well, and then the fraternity too. The fraternity that Ethan belonged to, Sigma Chi, and the party there that night, and David Loach, and the fight that Ethan may or may not have been in with David Loach. And then the whole thing with the football game, this whole case of Idaho 4, they try to keep the football game out of the discussion. So the football game was at 4:00 that day. It ended at about 7:00. They don't start with the timeline of any of the victims until like 9 or 10 o'clock. Remember what Chief Small Fry said? They were out in the community doing things. He's so stupid. OMG. What a mouse. What a spineless rat that dude is. And the rugs. Yeah. And what was the other thing I wanted to say about that? The off-campus housing. And in the sorority girls off-campus housing, it's like right across the street from Sigma Chi. And there's like literally cement stairs that go directly from Sigma Chi to that house. And that house is always occupied by students that are in sororities. Always, always, always. So it's almost student housing. And this is a really good question before we wrap up. I like to have these little zingers at the end. Here's a zinger. And who put this in my head a few days ago? It wasn't me. So I want to give credit to whoever it was. It could have even been you, Annabees. Who was it? Was it you? That what the F were freshmen doing living with seniors? So Bethany and Dylan were freshmen. Xana was a sophomore, maybe a junior, I think a sophomore. And Kaylee and Maddie were seniors. Freshmen don't live in houses with seniors. Whoever said it a couple days ago, and it might have been you, what they said was, like, how did freshmen even get off-campus housing? Because, yeah, in my experience, when you go to college, your freshman year, you're required to live on campus. It wasn't you, Anna. Okay, it was just a few days ago. It was somebody in the chat. And I was just like, yeah, because I hadn't thought about that. Like, I don't think I ever thought about that one. Maybe I did and I've forgotten. But freshmen and seniors don't cohabitate. There was something up with that. And then the whole thing with Dylan, wasn't Kaylee Dylan's, what do they call it? Like little sister, sorority sister, the little and the big. Wasn't Dylan Kaylee's big, and Maddie was Bethany's big? So they were part of the same sorority. And I don't know if Xana was part of that same sorority too, but we know for sure that Dylan and Kaylee were part of the same sorority. We know for sure that Bethany and Maddie were part of the same sorority. And I'm 100% sure that those two were each other's little bigs. And then Madison and Kaylee both quit their sororities, which you're not allowed to do that. So frustrating. So frustrating. And I want to say too, right before I wrap up, Anna Bees, and tell me what you think of this. The attitude that Kaylee Gonzalez, did I say her name right? Kaylee G. The attitude that girl displayed when the officers came to her sliding glass door, Rosie and the other guy who was not Blaker, but the other guy. She gave them so much attitude, and I'm just like, you go, girl. Like, she knew that what they were doing was effed up. She knew that they were intruding on her civil rights. She knew that they shouldn't be coming through her yard and knocking on her back door. And she had so much attitude. She was very edgy, in my opinion. And I'm curious if you agree with that. But that type of edginess was so warranted given the situation, because she was a smart girl. She was a confident girl. And she really had a chip on her shoulder. Like, don't F with me. Don't F with me, in my opinion. Even in her sausage dress. I love calling it the sausage dress because it's so tight and the color of it. And even in an ill-fitting sausage dress, that girl's a freaking knockout. And the police officers were having a hard time with that sausage dress and with her being such a knockout. But I think that attitude that she displayed might have had something to do with the end result of the attack on the four of them. That's my theory. And Anna B says, very true. I never thought of it. And yes, Kaylee's big. And Anna B says, I agree with you. And Anna B says, they're freezing you a little bit. That's hilarious. Yeah, I got to talk about less potent things, right? Talk about the jewelry again. Talk about the lighting. Talk about my hair. Oh, my hair hasn't even gone flat. How crazy is that? I don't think, anyway. I don't want to get all full of myself. I don't want to get ahead of myself. That's funny that the hair has held up reasonably throughout the entire hour and 48 minutes. It's very sus. The freezing of the video is very sus, Anna. Is that what you're referring to? Because I agree. It only happens at certain times when you mention certain people. And you're so sweet. You say your hair looks great, and I want to make a joke like, is my hair very sus? You're so kind. Yeah, isn't that weird? Oh man, I am so convinced of the shadow banning. I am so convinced. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And now that I've gotten my very, very first paycheck successfully, finally, who knows what they're going to try to do to keep me down? I don't know. I do not know. Maybe I'm going to have to like become part of a conglomerate of a larger group of podcasters or something. Exactly. When you talk about certain things, is it so weird? Like, yeah, you could go, oh, just a glitch, right? Or you're roboting. You're roboting. So, wow. Anything else, Anna Bees? I'm going to go ahead and wrap up because I said I was going to be under 2 hours today. And if I wrap up now, I'm still under 2 hours. So I'd like to be consistent with what I said, although I'm sure I can change. The boss won't mind. I mean, you're the boss, applesauce, right? It's just me and you, I think. Oh, no, someone else is here. And I got 5 likes. Woohoo. It's not a glitch. It's not a glitch. Yeah. Well, remember, was it 2 years ago? Memorial Day 2 years ago? It was Memorial Day weekend that my phone just went dead and my laptop went dead. And I took my phone to the Apple store and they said, "Oh, you were just given the worst lemon we've ever seen." I was like, "Uh-huh, sure I was." And then I got a replacement for my laptop. I think that was the laptop that I had gotten from Costco, and I tried to get it repaired at like the You Break I Fix place, and I tried to get it repaired through the company that I purchased it from because it still had the warranty. And I was just getting the runaround, and Costco just gave me my money back, like cash on the barrelhead, because they rock, which is why I love Costco. So, then I upgraded to like a freaking amazing gaming laptop. And then that thing bugged out and I took it back to the worst buy ever. And they kept it for 1,000 years. And that's when I was having to make my videos on my cell phone. I've had a ton of issues. This is my fourth laptop. And yeah, Ninja is killing it, isn't she? She's all over the Maddie Soto case. So glad for Ninja. I just love when she started her channel and she used Kylie's SoundCloud song Far Away for like her theme song. And even then, I didn't realize that that was Kylie's SoundCloud song. Isn't that funny? Because it sounded so professional. I thought it was like from the radio. But yeah, Ninja does an incredible job. And you do an incredible job of being my faithful lawyer viewer, Annabees. Love you, dear. I'm glad for Ninja too. Yeah, Ninja shines a lot of light on Kylie's case and on Maddie Soto's case. And I know she's covered a few other cases too. But she's just sharp. She's really sharp. Oh my goodness. Right before I wrap up, let me share with you another content creator who I've never seen or heard of. And she's like some kind of knitting wizard. Where's the knitting wizard? What was the name of her channel? I think I can find it. No. Yeah, here it is. The Knitting Cult Lady. Have you heard of her? I'm going to go ahead and play her video because it freaking rocks. It reminds me of Ninja. And the title of it is the best. You're going to love it, Annabees. Whoops. I drunk texted some war plans. I drunk texted some war plans. OMG.
These are 3 symptoms.
Oh, you're too nice. Thank you. You're so smart, my dear. I think I watched her once too. Well, you're going to love this.
And y'all are very interested,
she rocks.
In my opinion, on the Secretary of Defense drunk texting war plans to a journalist. And it's almost like we said, bad things would happen if you put a completely unqualified former major in the National Guard who's got Yahtzee tattoos in as the Secretary of Defense. It's almost like we said really dangerous things would happen in the business of life and unaliving. And why was the vice president in that group? First of all, Tulsi Gabbard should be out of a job today. Everyone. And in fact, this is a offense under the UCMJ. This is treason, and this is espionage. And this is certainly something that would have been so easily avoided. It is hubris. It is BS. And why was the vice president in that group? For those of you that are not aware, a vice president should not be involved in the decisions of war. This is so bro-y, an old boys club to me. It makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, I'll put this in.
By all rights, everybody should lose their jobs. And I'm seeing the Democrats demanding it, and I'm hoping something will happen. Nixon at least had the I don't know what to resign. The man pearls somewhere left. F-47 doesn't. And by the way, when they act like, oh, I didn't know about this. Sir, you're the president of the United States. Get a brief. He did this with QAnon. He does this all of the time. This is also a white feminist thing to do, by the way. Just be like, oh, I don't know the details on that, and not have to engage. Go educate yourself and fire whoever's in charge of letting you get on the news, because they really set you up for failure. If this was anyone else under any administration, every single one of these people would be in jail today, and they deserve it. You don't play fast and loose with national secrets. But it's almost like this is what happens when you hire someone who promises in the job interview to quit drinking if they get the job. Good luck. I'm Danielle, a scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. And when I was a captain in the Army, my boss said one thing to me when I took over the battalion as the intelligence officer, the one who's in charge of the secrets. He said, commanders go to jail for 2 reasons: messing up finance and messing up secrets. Don't let me mess up secrets. And as a 24-year-old, I said, Roger that, sir. And I didn't. It's not that hard to just stay on the secret networks. They have whole secret networks for transmitting things. Did you know that? You probably knew that.
I didn't know that, but of course
anyone else would lose their job. Let's see what happens. I wrote a book called Uncultured about growing up in the Children of God religious cult before going into the cult of the U.S. Army. You can get signed copies attached here, especially if you're watching this on Tube, because I'm probably still in TikTok jail. Better than the jail Hexeth is going to go to.
She's great.
Romans 8:28
Isn't that hilarious? She's in TikTok jail, better than the jail Seth Heg is going to go to. So yeah, I'll put a link to that video in the description. I'm glad I played that. I'm glad you like it, Annabise. I watch Primrose Person. She does a lot of shorts. Well, and I love the way she's knitting like the dog in Wallace and Gromit, just the nervous knitting. Man, she's kicking some butt, some booty. So yeah, I'll read the last 3 comments here, and then I'll wrap up the last 4 comments. Put her channel in your description, which I will, and I'll put that little video link to that. God, please let the Democrats do something about this. I hate that they're letting all this crap happen. I know the Democrats are being pretty freaking weird through all this. This whole thing is so weird. It's just surreal. Like, how could this freaking happen? How could any of this happen? It's a poop fest. I watch Primrose Person. She does a lot of shorts. This lady reminds me of Primrose. I'll have to check that out. Well, my dear, you have a lovely rest of your day. I might go to the dog park. I might get some more gardening done. It's a nice day out. It's not too hot, and I always have to worry about the sun. I try to stay out of the sun, so I don't garden during the sunny parts of the day. So love and light. Take really good care of yourself. Have a lovely rest of your day. Make sure you drink your water, eat your protein, get some sunshine and fresh air if you can, and eat your veggies, right? It's the key. It's the magic ingredient. All right. Love and light. See you soon. Thanks again. everyone, and especially Annabes. Goodbye. You're so sweet. Thanks, dear. See you soon.